Hello there, and welcome back to the neighborhood. Let's take a look at an IEM with some buzz around it. Will I kill it? Let's get into it. So I've liked some Kiwiears IEMs in the past, and when I saw this thing, I just knew I had to take a look at it. You see, the Quintet has a very interesting driver configuration, in that all the drivers are inside. Inside this medium-sized cavity, they've managed to shove one DLC-DD, two balanced armatures, a microplanar transducer, and a piezoelectric bone conductor. I'm actually amazed that all of this fits inside such a small cavity. It also comes in at a relatively affordable price for all that's included, at $219. But I guess Kiwiears managed to keep the price low because the included package is not much to write home about. It comes with the same rather pedestrian carrying case that came with the Orchestra Lite and two sets of silicone ear tips, a gray narrow bore and a black wide bore. With regard to tip selection, I would have liked more, and I didn't like the sound of either of the provided tips. I tried every aftermarket ear tip that I had, and only SpinFit CP100 seemed to work for my ears. But more on this later when we get to the sound. A nice 2-pin silver-plated copper cable is provided, but it's only single-ended. At this price, I'd like to see interchangeable terminations. The shell itself is also somewhat uninspired. The powdered metal faceplate looks somewhat nifty, but the shell is just a shiny black plastic-looking and feeling material. And from a comfort perspective, I didn't like the ear wing or the angle of the nozzle much either, especially over the course of longer listening sessions. So let's quickly get into the sound. It's all over the place. It's kind of an incoherent mess. It's decently resolving and has pretty good note decay, but outside of that, it doesn't have much going for it. While it's not super warm, timbre is on the warmer side of neutral and a bit darker and moodier in its character. As I've already said, I searched far and wide for a tip to help this set, but the only one that brought any semblance of coherence to this set was the CP100. And considering sources, I found that this thing hates additional gain most of the time, and any type of power. It worked decently off of lower powered dongles from my phone, but even something like the Tantrum Space caused the Quintet to spaz out. When this happened, the vocals and upper mid-range would get overly pushed forward in an assaultive manner, and the lower end could get overly thumpy, becoming fatiguing after a few tracks. Furthermore, the treble generally lacked extension in air, and still, the peak around 8K was often just a bit much. The soundstage of this thing was also pretty narrow, but height was decent, and depth was above average. Even so, the Quintet was generally easily confused on busier tracks, and sonics tended to become lost or smeared together. And while resolution was impressive for the most part, details didn't really stand out. There was also some glare and grittiness to the notes at times, here or there at least, that did stand out and often spoiled the track. But fascinatingly, I did get a new RCA Blackplate 12AU7 tube for my Bravo Audio Ocean hybrid tube amplifier, and with this tube installed, I didn't hate the Quintet, as it, in combination with the CP100s, smoothed things out a bit and lowered amplitudes just enough to become more appealing to my ears. I also thought the Quintet performed decently from the THX AAA 789, but I couldn't tolerate it off much else. If you found a good source for this set, let me know in the comments below. But for now, it's my assumption that the Quintet is a source-picky IEM that lacks identity in both its sound and driver configuration. It may graph well, but one should listen with their ears and not only pay attention to a graph when reviewing. In other words, while these may pass the eye test, they certainly don't pass the ear test. Compared to its sister IEM, the Orchestra Lite, the Quintet may have some additional bass, but the Orchestra Lite is more consistent, coherent, and just an overall better performer than the Quintet is, with a more sophisticated build and shell design to boot. Its resolution is just as good, and details and technical performance are just better, even if dynamics do suffer a bit in comparison due to its BA-only implementation. If someone's going to spend $219 on these, I'd recommend spending an extra $30 to get the Orchestra Lite, or if one large planar dynamic will do, consider the MP145 from Hydiz, which debuted at half the price, but may be a bit more expensive now. In any case, before you go, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and tap that notification bell to make sure that you get the fresh and honest takes from me in the future. Also consider following this channel at X, Instagram, Patreon, www.intoitreviews.com, or join the Discord. Links to all locations will be listed in the description below, and I hope to see you there. And with that, I'm out for now.